Assalamu alaikum, or hello to everyone watching. Today, I'm addressing a video by the channel Nabi Asli titled Prophet Muhammad and Zaynab and Zayd Red Heart Islamic Love Triangle. This video presents a distorted, sensationalized version of a well-documented event in Islamic history. The marriage of Prophet Muhammad to Zaynab bint Jahsh after her divorce from Zayd bin Haritha. It uses cherry-picked quotes from Islamic sources like the Quran, Hadith, and Tafsirs to paint a picture of lust, manipulation, and convenient revelations. But as we'll see, this is a gross misrepresentation rooted in bias, ignoring historical context, societal reforms, and the authentic narratives from Muslim scholars. Let's break it down step by step, using the same sources they cite to show the truth. First, the video claims the marriage between Zayd and Zaynab was forced by the Prophet, citing Quran 33:36, which emphasizes obedience to God and his messenger. But here's the context. Zaynab was the Prophet's cousin from a noble Quraysh family, and Zayd was a former slave whom the Prophet had freed and adopted. In pre-Islamic Arabia, social status was everything. Marriages across class lines were taboo. The Prophet arranged this marriage to demonstrate equality in Islam, showing that faith, not lineage, matters. Zaynab and her family initially hesitated due to societal norms, not because they thought the Prophet wanted her for himself. The video sensationalizes the wind lifting the curtain incident from Tarikh al-Tabari, where the Prophet allegedly sees Zaynab undressed and admiration enters his heart. But this narrative is from a single, weak chain of transmission in Tabari's history, which collects reports without always verifying authenticity. Tabari himself notes he includes everything for scholars to evaluate. Stronger Hadith collections like Sahih Bukhari don't include this detail, focusing instead on Zayd's complaints about marital incompatibility. Zayd approached the Prophet multiple times about divorcing Zaynab due to their differences in temperament and background, not because of any sudden lust on the Prophet's part. The Prophet advised him to retain your wife and fear Allah, Quran 33:37, showing reluctance to see the marriage end, not hidden desire. Now, the core of the video's attack, Quran 33:37, which they say conveniently allows the Prophet to marry Zaynab after Zayd divorces her. The verse states, "And remember, O Muhammad, when you said to the one on whom Allah bestowed favor and you bestowed favor, keep your wife and fear Allah, while you concealed in your soul that which Allah was to disclose." This isn't about hiding lust. It's about the Prophet hiding his knowledge of a divine command that Zayd would divorce Zaynab, and she would marry him to abolish the pre-Islamic custom treating adopted sons as blood relatives. In Arabia, you couldn't marry the ex-wife of your adopted son. This marriage shattered that taboo, proving adopted children aren't biological heirs, as reinforced in Quran 33:4-5. It was a social reform, not personal indulgence. Muslim scholars like those in Tafsir al-Quran explain this as the Prophet fearing societal backlash, not people, while prioritizing God's will. The video also mocks the wedding banquet, leading to Quran 33:53's revelation about not lingering in the Prophet's home. This wasn't about hiding embarrassment. Guests overstaying was a common issue in a resource-scarce community. The verse establishes etiquette for all believers, protecting the Prophet's privacy and setting boundaries, including the hijab for his wives. It's practical guidance, not a cover-up. And linking Zayd's later death at Mu'tah to this? That's pure speculation. No Islamic source connects the two. Zayd was a revered commander who died honorably in battle. One particularly egregious claim often echoed in anti-Islamic circles, and worth including here as it's sometimes tied to this story, comes from misquoted or exaggerated interpretation in al-Qurtubi's tafsir on Quran 33:50. It attributes to the mystic Ibn al-Arabi a supposed privilege for the Prophet, that if he desires a married woman, her husband must divorce her so the Prophet can marry her. This is presented as, if Muhammad looks at a woman and desires her, then it is necessary for her husband to divorce her and for Muhammad to marry her. But this is a distortion. Al-Qurtubi lists scholarly opinions on the Prophet's unique privileges, like expanded polygamy, but this specific point from Ibn al-Arabi is speculative and not a binding ruling. It's one mystic's view, not mainstream Islamic law or Hadith. No authentic source shows the Prophet ever acting on such a thing. His marriages were for alliances, protection, or reform. Critics like David Wood or channels like Nabi Asli amplify this to smear, but it's rejected by most Muslim scholars as non-canonical. In the Zaynab case, the divorce happened due to mutual issues, not desire-driven coercion. Overall, this video ignores that the Prophet lived modestly, married mostly widows and divorcees for support, and used marriages to unite tribes. Zaynab herself boasted her marriage was ordained by Allah. Sahih Bukhari 9:93:516, highlighting its divine purpose. Muslim refutations, like those addressing similar claims by David Wood, emphasize the event's role in promoting equality and reforming adoption laws. If this was about lust, why wait for divine command? Why not use prophetic authority earlier? The truth is, it was about God's wisdom overriding human customs. Finally, for those quick to judge Islamic history, let's turn to counterargument from the Bible. Stories of prophets in far more questionable scenarios, without the reformative context. Take King David, a major prophet in Judaism, Christianity, and Islam. In 2 Samuel 11, David sees Bathsheba bathing from his rooftop, lusts after her, summons her, sleeps with her while she's married to Uriah, and gets her pregnant. To cover it up, he recalls Uriah from battle, tries to trick him into sleeping with his wife, and when that fails, arranges for Uriah to be killed in combat. David then marries Bathsheba. This isn't just desire leading to divorce. It's adultery, deception, and murder. Yet, David is still revered as a man after God's own heart, Acts 13 verse 22, and his son Solomon from this union becomes a prophet. Or consider prophet Hosea, commanded by God to marry a prostitute, Hosea 1 verse 2, to symbolize Israel's unfaithfulness. And Abraham, who twice claims his wife Sarah is his sister, allowing her to be taken into Pharaoh's harems, Genesis 12 and 20. These stories involve deception and complex marital dynamics, yet they're seen as part of divine plans. If critics apply the same scrutiny to the Bible, their arguments crumble. In conclusion, the Nabi Asli video is propaganda, not history. Read the sources yourself: Quran, authentic Hadith, and balanced tafsirs. If you have questions, comment below.